Welcome to In Focus SoCal. I'm Tanya McRae. Los Angeles County operates the largest jail system in the world. And while it has an incarceration rate below the national average, its jails are alarmingly overcrowded. The city of LA's new budget is now in effect, topping $13 billion for the first time in city history. Mayor Karen Bass's first city budget includes an unprecedented $1.3 billion investment to continue tackling the homelessness crisis, a top priority, if not the top priority, for city leaders. The Port of Los Angeles is the busiest container port in the country. Over 1.8 million containers moved through the harbor in the first 3 months of this year. But the port now faces calls to reduce emissions while still keeping the cargo moving. Spectrum News 1's Parker Collins takes a look at how that project is going. Supervisor Foley, thank you so much for joining me in this beautiful location in Newport Beach. I can't think of a better office to have for a day.
That's right. Welcome to District 5.
I love it. Sacramento lawmakers are facing a September 14th deadline to pass bills as the end of the legislative session draws closer. Governor Gavin Newsom then has 1 month to sign or veto bills, and there are still a number of bills waiting to be passed. And joining me now is Daniela Pardo, Spectrum News 1's Sacramento correspondent. Daniela, it's so good to see you.
So good to see you, and such a treat to finally be on your show, Tanya.
I know. Today we make history. Ventura County Supervisor Vianey Lopez came to the U.S. when she was just 4 and has spent almost her entire life in public service. Lopez was appointed by Governor Gavin Newsom to represent the 5th District last year after the untimely passing of Supervisor Carmen Ramirez. I asked Supervisor Lopez about her top priorities, environmental justice, and other issues in Ventura County, and how she's carrying on the legacy of her predecessor. In 1984, the E-Bell of Los Angeles was founded by women for women as a hub for arts, culture, and education. And throughout the month of March, students from across Los Angeles are being invited to learn about the lost history, or her story, of 3 pioneering Angelenos. Spectrum News 1's Tara Lynn Wagner has that story. Councilmember Bob Blumenfield was re-elected last year to serve LA's 3rd District, which includes the communities of Reseda, Tarzana, and Woodland Hills. He has represented that district on the City Council for a decade, but his ties to the western part of the San Fernando Valley go back much further. I sat down to talk with Councilmember Blumenfield about how the valley has changed, the steps he's taking to address homelessness, and what he's trying to accomplish in his final term. Here's our conversation. Mayor Helen Tran has lived in the city of San Bernardino since she was a child, and last year she made history when she became the city's first Asian American mayor. She's also the first Vietnamese American woman to hold that title in any U.S. city. I sat down with Tran to talk about how much the area has changed over the years and her most immediate goals as mayor of the city, where she is raising her 3 children. She's focused on investing in public education and sustainable energy, and she has a plan to address the homelessness crisis. Here's our conversation. Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass made history by becoming the city's first woman mayor, and on her first day in office, she made history again by declaring a state of emergency to respond to the homelessness crisis. I had the opportunity to sit down with Mayor Bass at City Hall this week to discuss her first 100 days in office, how her life has changed being back in her hometown full-time, and what's ahead for Los Angeles. Here's our conversation. Mayor Bass, it is great to sit down with you and talk about your first 100 days in office.
Thank you, and the time is going by so fast.
I bet it is. I bet it is. The last time I saw you in person was actually on election night. I was covering the Democratic Party headquarters that night. You got on stage with your grandchildren, and you could see how excited they were. What has it been like for them to have you home all the time now here in LA and to have you as their mayor?
Well, you know, they're having fun with it. They absolutely are. First of all, they're learning about government. They're learning what it means that I'm the mayor. But they've been very excited, and I've gone to their schools and all, and so that's been exciting.
What has been the single biggest adjustment for you going from being a member of Congress to being the mayor of Los Angeles?
Well, you know what? There's adjustments in every single area. Number one, every 4 days I'm not at the airport.
I imagine you're not putting in those miles anymore.
Exactly. I'm not doing that. I don't have to worry about time change.
Anaheim Mayor Ashley Aiken made history last year when she became the first woman elected to the office in Orange County's largest city. Aiken was sworn in at a time when Anaheim had been without a mayor for several months after Harry Sidhu resigned over news of a federal corruption probe. I sat down with Mayor Aiken to talk about regaining the public's trust in City Hall, the need for more affordable housing, and why her election represents a new day for Anaheim. Here's what she had to say. Mayor Aiken, thank you so much for joining me on In Focus SoCal. It's a pleasure to finally meet you in person.
Thank you, and thank you so much for having me this morning.
You are a lifelong Anaheim resident, and you are the first female mayor in the city's 165-year history. What have the first few months been like for you?
It's been an amazing journey, and I'm so proud to represent my city.
For the first time in 15 years, the Writers Guild of America is on strike, halting much of television and film production nationwide and upending an industry at the heart of Southern California's economy. Here to break down the latest of the writer strike is Katie Kilkenny, who covers labor and union issues for The Hollywood Reporter. Hey, Katie, thanks for spending some time with me today.
Thank you so much for having me, Tanya.
So, Katie, can you lay out the main demands being made by the Writers Guild and talk about which are likely to be included in the new contract? Tell me one thing that many people might be surprised to know about you.
Well, when I came in your lobby and I was on the court floor, and I said maybe I should shoot a few baskets while I'm here. And that's one thing people don't know about me. I was Athlete of the Year my senior year in my high school. I played basketball.
Really?
I ran track, softball,
All right.
and volleyball. So, and I was a cheerleader. So I was very active in my high school and early college years.
I love that. Well, you and I might need to shoot a few hoops.
I know.
I played many of the same sports. I played basketball, volleyball, I did track and field, I did softball as well. Mine included equestrian riding.
Okay.
But being active as,
I love riding horses, but I didn't compete.
That's so important.
Yeah, so my life really took a shift.
Community organizations across the state are working to end mass incarceration. And one group in particular is doing important work to empower and support currently and formerly incarcerated people with re-entry services and opportunities to advocate for policy change. And joining me now is Sam Lewis, Executive Director of the Anti-Recidivism Coalition, known as ARC. Thanks for spending some time with us today on In Focus SoCal, Sam.
Thank you for having me, Tanya.
Many people think of anti-recidivism work starting when a prisoner is released from jail. But you stress the importance of working with an individual while they are still incarcerated. Why is it critical to reach them then? And how does ARC's Hope and Redemption program, which you created in 2017, help these individuals?
Great question, and thank you. Absolutely, we believe in beginning while incarcerated. As a matter of fact, we believe the first day of your reentry starts the first day that you're incarcerated.
My last question for you is, tell me one thing about yourself that some people might be surprised to know.
Oh boy. Perhaps that completely different career from where I am at. When I was little, I was very interested in the arts. I thought maybe I could be a singer, although I wouldn't test that today.
What kind of music did you like back then?
So my idol was Selena. I grew up hearing her music, and she was my role model. I wanted to be like her.
That's a good one. That's a good one. So are you just a shower singer now?
I'll keep it in the shower and maybe in the car, alone.
Speaking of your father, Kenneth Hahn, so he was on the LA City Council, and then as you mentioned, he was on the Board of Supervisors for 4 decades. But he was also an ardent civil rights activist. And in fact, in 1962, during the civil rights movement, when Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. visited Los Angeles, your father was the only elected official to meet Dr. King at the airport. What values did you learn early on from your dad that impacted you the most?
Well, he really was a civil rights activist.